So, morning. Welcome everybody. Are we inspired? Are we feeling inspired? What is inspiration?
Yes.
Lots of perspiration involved in inspiration sometimes, I think. So, but Trevor doesn't believe that at all. But Lee, you may. So over to you.
Yeah, I think I love this topic, and as I say, yesterday I ran another workshop with the university and ended with this question, so what is inspiring you at the moment? And it's just an opportunity to reflect and to say, well, what's keeping me going in tough times, and what's giving me the energy and the drive to keep going to achieve the goals that you have in mind, the dreams that you have. And for me, one of the best things I started doing in lockdown was interviewing different people. So it started off being South African authors, and then business people, and then people who specialized in personal development. And these interviews and the people that I was interviewing, I am interviewing, and their stories and their insights have been absolutely phenomenal. And I've in the last 3 or 4 days, maybe let's say 3 or 4 days, I've interviewed 3 people. And Ed was one of them. And I interviewed Ed on Monday, and my business partners will attest that I was not in the best of spaces in the morning. And I had this interview with Ed, and just thinking of him running, I don't know, what is it, 30 or 40 Ks a day for 5 or 6, 7 days, and his mental processes to keep himself going, and just his life story. Sorry, my eyes, I'm not crying, Ed, my eyes are weeping a bit. It just lifted my spirits. I was just so happy after that. And then the other interviews as well. The one was a young woman who has so bright and full of life, has decided to leave the corporate world, return to her home country of Lesotho, and become a strawberry farmer. And she's making cordials and juices. And these cordials and juices are meant for the restaurant market. So she began all of this during lockdown. No restaurants are open. But she's used this time to find a mentor. That's how I got in touch with her, because I know the mentor. The mentor is in Mpofu. And go through her market research. What she's been doing is using this opportunity to test her product. So she's going to, and now restaurant owners are available like they haven't been before. So they're giving her feedback on the quality, the taste, the texture, the consistency, and she's applying that, the bottle shape, the bottle look, and she is honing her product and building her business. It's absolutely phenomenal how she's using that time. And then the other one was Paul that I interviewed. And again, just the vivacious, energetic person who's really used lockdown in such an incredible way to expand her business, to reach out to her community, to make a difference. And so, yeah, those people inspire me. And then the last one that I want to share about in terms of inspiring, again, it's people's stories, is my husband has been lecturing at the University of Pretoria for the last few months. It's a pattern. Every second half of the year, he takes over the 3rd year class of one of the theology departments. And, it's been a tough year. And so he was just sharing some stories of what some of the students have been doing in order to remain connected with the university. Some of them are selling fruit and veg on the side of the road so that they can buy data. One guy is getting in a taxi and spending nearly an hour on the road to get to an internet cafe so that he can sign in to his classes. And, you know, these are stories of resilience, of initiative, of hope in very tough times. So, and I end with a lady from yesterday when she was the last lady to go, and I was saying, so what inspires you? And she's the secretary of the school. And she said, you need something every day to inspire you. Maybe it's your kids, maybe it's your family, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a sunset, maybe it's a book. But she said, every day you need to look and find something that is going to inspire you. And I thought that was a good word. So yeah, so that's me on inspiration. I hope it's been inspiring. And I look forward to hearing what's inspiring you at the moment.
Great, thanks so much, Lee. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is go across to somebody who sometimes inspires me, but mostly terrifies me, but I find very interesting, and I normally leave it to last. So I'm going to go to her first today, and that's Cecile. If she's ready.
Okay, I'm glad you're talking to me, because I'm waiting for the electrician to arrive. For my I thought my geyser needed a plumber, but the plumber tells me that the timer was knocked out or whatever during the storm. So now I need the electrician. Oh my word, do I need this in my life? Yeah, what inspires me? Well, in life, like I've said when I shared my story, my twin sister has always inspired me, because she, in a man's world, she's done really well. She's a colonel. She retired in February as a colonel in the army, and she's done really, really well with being the fittest soldier amongst all the men, and just working her way up, despite all the moeilijkhede that one has nowadays, not being the exact affiliations or whatever. And yeah, she ended her career as the colonel, and the last 4 years she was the military attaché to Sweden. So, and she's done fantastic work in Sweden. They haven't even appointed a new person, and it's 8 months later. So all the good work is just standing dead still. So my sister inspires me. The other person who inspires me, funny enough, is my daughter. She's 36 years old, but she's probably the most together person I know. And she's always so wise. When I misunderstand or not understand what my husband feels, she always comes to me and she says, no, sis, no, look, this is what you must try. Ask him what his expectations were in the situation, where I would just blast out and ask him, what's wrong, whatever, why? No, ask him. So she comes up with all these wise questions. I don't know where she got it from. So, and she's got her own payroll company, so she's inspiration with that. On the sports front, funny enough, I can't really say I have inspirations. People inspire me. I have frustrations more than inspirations. This week has been yesterday has been one of those days where I was like a real beginner in the karate class, but I have my spots of brilliance. And yeah, hopefully that was a little bit of an inspiration yesterday. So that he said, oh, okay, Cecile, you can be good. You are good at certain things. But I'm trying to get inspiration to fix this up, whatever I can't do properly. Yeah, and then I don't really have other people that inspire me, but it's interesting to listen to all of you.
Great, thanks, Cecile. Right, Donovan, let's get across to you next.
Yes, morning, everyone. Yeah, it's really difficult times, and they say tough times, call the tough into action or something like that. So I'm still trying to convince myself that I'm tough enough. I've been surviving up to now, so that's what's giving me hope. And it's basically a mind game, if I can use the term. You have to have the right mindset. A lot of people call it self-talk or affirmations in the morning, declaring what you believe and who you are, etc. But at the end of the day, it's can you convince yourself that you are strong enough to even survive the day ahead, and then you just take it one day at a time, and then you look back at the end of the day and you say, "Phew, you've made it," and then hopefully you're strong enough for the next day, and that's how it goes. So I was also forced to reinvent myself. I'm constantly thinking of different things to do, different ways to do things, and I'm sure I'll see the fruit soon. It's like one of those interesting trees or plants. You don't see much happening on the ground, and it takes like ages, for the root system to develop, and then suddenly it just shoots up and it overtakes everything else. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Donovan. Yeah, nice analogy. I think sometimes, all the work does take place out of sight, and eventually you get, a beautiful creation as a result of it. So yeah, nice analogy. Thank you. Right, Tripakati, let's come across to you next.
Good morning, everybody. What a beautiful day again. Looks like we're going to get rain properly. So today, go and play golf now, early, because it's coming this afternoon, tomorrow, Friday, going to rain. So I'm going fishing. Fishing inspires me, but adversity inspires me. Stories of the downtrodden that suddenly have something happen to them, or get some divine inspiration, and they leave legacies that last long after they are here. Usually those stories are not stories of the prince and the princess who grew up in the castle. They're usually stories of the kid born and put into the reeds, or the bugger out in the wilderness, the burning bush experience, or the scout who gets sent to have a look what's across the river. These stories and these people inspire me, and I think the inspiration to get up every day is to see, with time, how much closer to leaving something in my story is there for someone else one day to say, well, if that asshole could do it, anyone can do it. So fixing broken things, not so much boards and my iPad and technology stuff, but systems, and injustices, and just the chance to see good, positive change, and that can come with something as small as a smile. And Lee, I love your story this morning about that individual that gets up and has to catch a taxi and sell some fruit to get his daughter to go and get connectivity, to get connected. Now that's rubbish. That should never happen. We're in 2020 around the world. So it's one of the things that inspires me to say, hey, hold on, that is just wrong on all levels. So it's my lifetime goal to make sure that in this country, by the time I'm gone, everyone, wherever they are, has access to one of these things, with access to one of these things, and doesn't have to go anywhere, and it will be free according to our NDP. We've got a very clear national development plan for 2030. Regrettably, we wrote it in the mid-90s, and we didn't do much about it for quite a few of our leadership's eras, but it was an inspirational document. It was some great thinking and visionary stuff, and it inspires me when someone says back in the mid-90s, by 2030, every person in South Africa will have a 20 megabit up and down, loading speed, free data. Somewhere someone was thinking inspirationally, because can you imagine how that individual's life would change that didn't have to A, sell some fruit to get some data, B, jump on the taxi, spend the money, spend the time, get there, probably have to wait in a queue because there are 42 other million people that did the same thing that morning to try and get them there so they could try and say, okay, well, how does it work? So and that this 4IR and this connectivity issue and this ICT thing, it doesn't matter where you look, it's everywhere. And I haven't got it right. So this week, probably the last 2 weeks, I've realized it's not about education. It's not about financial services. It's not about property. It's not about agriculture and agri-processing. It's about how ICT and 4IR in education, in financial services, in property, in agriculture and agri-processing. So what's inspiring me at the moment to get up every day is to go out and work out how do we take what we've got, because we've got a big four that regrettably, they've come to the end of their run now. They have to now support a thing called an MVNO, which is a mobile virtual network operator. Trevor, I can see you've already written that down for your next book. And we are busy appointing 8,000 individuals in this country to be MNVOs. Why? Because that's where the new spectrum is going to go. It is not allowed to go to MTN. It's not allowed to go to Vodacom. It's not allowed. Why? Because they haven't gone and done the bloody job. They haven't gone and given this individual who has to sell some fruit to get into the taxi to get his daughter to go. They haven't done the job. And some of us have had an opportunity to influence some people in their thinking. And now the yellow companies come to us and said, we will rent back the infrastructure from you. And now we're saying, hey, hold on, this is cool. And that's inspiring. It's inspiring to see that if you put some pressure and you grab someone in an uncomfortable way, that things can change. I said uncomfortable way, Ed, not like a beer. And so what's inspiring me? I've got to tell you, I'm inspired because when I got home yesterday, can you see the painting there in the background? You see, all right, check behind me. The plastering's done. Look here. And then what really inspired me is my board's broken. Okay. Now, what's really inspiring about that is it's allowed me the chance to rethink what I'm going to do here, because this is where I do my thinking and my inspiration every day. And this is broken. But what's on that board, and you can probably go back to this thing, pause that. Use your cleverness in technology, line it up, and then you'll see what really inspires me, because that's what inspires me to get up every day. And someone broke it yesterday, but it wasn't broken yesterday. It's been broken for 40 years. And all I got to do is put it back together and find some inspirational people to help me execute what's on that board. So you guys inspire me, and I'm going to miss you. I'm fishing. I'll be back on Wednesday next week.
Great, thanks, Trevor. I hope you catch a big one. Yeah. So Trevor's BHAGs, very interesting. Big, hairy, audacious goals, I think, are always good for inspiration. And sometimes you just need to get a bit of glue and wood and stick your board back together to make them get up and running. So good luck with that one. Right, Vinay, let's get across to you next.
Hi. Okay, so I was hoping Edward would go first so we can see the definition of inspiration versus motivational, because I can read the definition, but I can't sort of get into my head what is the difference between inspiration and motivational. There are a few things that inspire me. Business-wise, it's if I get a problem that my client can't solve or doesn't know how to solve or believe that it's impossible. To me, it's really inspiring when I reach the end of that journey and say, yeah, I did it. And when I get a new client or I get new business for a new area from an existing client, it inspires me to actually think I'm doing this right, I'm doing this well. Then, not to blow smoke up everybody, but these wisdom chats in the morning really, really do inspire me. I really regret when I think I've missed 2 since I started in the last 6 weeks. And my day is not right if I miss them. And Ivan, you've got to post them quicker onto YouTube so that I can, as soon as possible, I can go and check them out. Because I looked yesterday and I couldn't find it. Some other inspirational things regarding my health. I'm going to see my son and his daughter in Germany in June, and they walk a lot. They are super fit. They're in their 30s, and I'm in my 50s. So my goal is by the time I go to them in June, I want to be able to keep up with them, not get out of breath, and be able to enjoy the walking holiday. And then on a personal level, wisdoms as part of the personal, I'm very selective about the people that I engage with on a personal level. I refuse to engage with people that are negative, people who run South Africa down but stay here. I just ease them out of my life. I'm not saying I live in La La Land. I mean, everybody's got problems, and I'm happy to engage with people who have problems, my friends, my family, but there's a difference between having a problem and being negative. And I think it's really, really important that you surround yourself with people who are actually going to inspire you and lift you up and encourage you. And yeah, those are my short and sweet list. But Ed, I want to hear your definition between motivational and inspirational. Thank you.
There you go. The good corporate secretary handing out work left, right, and center. Yeah. Yeah, Vinay, thanks for that. Yeah, I just need a little bit more pressure in my life to keep me inspired and get things up a bit sooner onto the web. So yeah, I appreciate that one. So Ed, I think we better get across to you next.
Yeah, if you guys have seen that movie Bugs Life, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. In the very early scenes, there's a line of ants marching through the jungle. And I think it's a leaf or a stick falls on the line and interrupts it. And the ants panic because they've got no one to follow. And that's how I felt last night, because there was no email from Lee to say what we were going to talk about today. So I haven't done my research, so I can't answer Vernay's question. So I'm just going to stick to the subject, which was what inspires you at the moment. And I'm finding it very difficult because I get inspired by meeting people physically and hearing their stories. And when I'm out and about doing my runs or whatever it is I'm doing, I meet very inspiring people. You know, one time when I was actually, it's going to sound a bit strange, cycling on a canal, actually on the water, I met 2 guys sitting on a bench having a beer, and they were down and out. But I stopped and had a beer with them, which is, you know, what I do. And they were the most amazing, inspiring people I've met. So meeting people is what inspires me. So I'm finding it very difficult. These wisdom chats inspire me. That's my sort of substitute for meeting people, I suppose. So you guys inspire me. Trevor's inspired me to write poetry, which has been fantastic. I've written a couple of more poems since then. So that's like almost doubled my output on poetry. But I just thought about who really inspires me at the moment, or the last month or so, and it's 4 women. 3 of them are 30 and 1's 24, and 2 of them I met physically just recently before lockdown came, and individually we went walking. One of them, She's very bright. She's got a degree in criminology. Has faced quite a few problems in her life, and all she wants to be is, and I never even knew these existed, was an independent advocate for victims of sexual violence. And that's what she wants, and she's working her way towards that. And at the moment, she's working in a domestic violence charity, and she gets paid peanuts, and she struggles to pay her rent. And, you know, she said, I'm 30, I can't even afford a place to live, but she says, it's what I want to do. And she says, I know that because it's people, I won't get paid much. And she's still doing it. And despite the fact she had a lot of problems, she's always cheerful. And then the second woman was the one that introduced me to the first one. And she's very outdoorsy. She's very fit. She's very, she's into surfing. She's into stand-up paddleboarding. She runs a little bit, hiker. We go walking when she comes down to Cornwall because her boyfriend doesn't like walking. So I'm quite happy with that. And she's doing really well in a quite a posh hotel in Devon. And she's been working her way up. And she's just been offered the post of general manager and also to be made a director. Now, she turned being a director down because during COVID, she didn't like the way the company treated the customers and the staff. And she says to me, she said, I only took the general manager's job because if I didn't, I'd get the sack. And I need the job at the moment, she says, but I'm desperately looking elsewhere. What do you think I should do, Edward? And I just admired that, one, the courage of her convictions to say, I don't like what they're doing. I am not going to be a part of it. But also thinking about, okay, I need to look after myself as well at the moment because times are tough. She's just bought a house, so she needs the income. So she was looking at how could she still keep her integrity and still keep her job. And she'll be moving on very soon, I'm sure. So I really admired that. The other two women are my daughters. My one in Singapore, she just loves nature. She just loves wildlife. She takes any chance she can get to get out there. And then she sends me photographs of snakes, of iguanas, of otters, of birds. But she's also very, very environmentally aware. She does much more than I do. She puts me to shame. So she's my motivation as well. I want to be like her. And the fourth one is my younger daughter, who's 24. She's had this dream of owning her own home, having some stability. She's done it. But the thing I like most about Charlotte is she loves me very much. She loves me enough to tell me the truth. And she will turn around and say, Dad, you're an absolute plonker, or whatever it is. And she'll explain why with love and affection. And I just wish I had her way of putting things across when she wants to say something. I mean, she's very blunt, but then she kind of takes the edge off it by explaining why she's doing it. And you know she's doing it from a position of love. So those are the four people that are inspiring me the most at the moment. And also nature's inspiring me because it's so beautiful. It's adaptable. Kittiwakes, for example, they're a bird that live on cliffs. They now live on the bridge over the River Tyne. They live in the buildings in the River Tyne, by the River Tyne. So they're adaptable and they're tenacious. You look at a little tiny rock somewhere with a little cleft in it, and a seed falls there and it grows into a tree. It might be a stunted tree because it hasn't got much nutrients, but it's still beautiful and it's still making a living. So nature inspires me. I think the difference between inspiration and motivation, I think motivation, you've already got the inspiration, you just need to kick up the arse.
Okay, and on that note, I think we have to get across to Trevor. Nell, that is.
So I was also, excuse me, thinking of the difference between motivation and inspiration. Can you hear me? You can? Good. And so, Vernay, I think motivation is what drives you to action. So whether it's your own kick up your own backside or someone else kicking you up the backside, you can call that motivation. So it's what drives you to action, but inspiration is what drives you to tears. And I mean, maybe I should post this because I was just saying what inspires me, or I was writing it down here. And if I go there, quiet moments inspire me, music inspires me, life inspires me, challenges inspire me, exercise inspires me, relaxing inspires me, vision inspires me, honesty inspires me, thinking inspires me, business inspires me, just waking up inspires me. But all of this for me is, I think the primary focus for me, and probably it's as I'm getting older, but it's not, I've always been like this. The quiet moments have been the most inspirational. Sitting back in my younger days, lying on a beach when everyone else was hassled about what they were doing, how they were making money. And Ed, I loved that story of that young lady who was trying to work out, no, stuff these people who are messing other people around, but she's also concerned about making money and keeping the roof over her head. I think that is the most inspirational challenge that the entire world faces right now, and they've all got to recognize it out of COVID. And I think it's our role here to actually start turning around and saying, well, how do we lead the type of inspiration that we're getting at the moment? How do we help other people to think the thoughts that we are actually doing? And you know, the thoughts differ. You can see there's some guys who have a real deep bucket of thoughts, and there are others who have got holes in their buckets. I'm not going to point to the mirror. You know, for me, it's about sense of humor. I think Ed's got a sense of humor, but he's also got an accountant's ability to actually dig down deep into the numbers, which I actually love because it allows me to relax. I don't have to go to the dictionary. I can just come up with my own versions of what is the difference between motivation and inspiration. So Vernay, you take your chances at the information that you pick and whoever kicks you up the backside. So inspiration. Let me tell you, I actually sent out a little video to a couple of people that I thought was interesting yesterday because I thought they'd appreciate the direction. And it was based on me just sitting back because whenever I'm doing work, I've got the TV on in the background all the time. And it's either got rock bands on, or it's got music, or if Taylor has taken it over, because she's hijacked it at the moment, because she's doing online work and not at school. So I don't win that battle. And then I go to YouTube. And there on the side of YouTube, you get the very best talents of X Factor and all of these things. Man, you can't click on 2 or 3 of these things and not be brought to tears. These are ordinary people who actually take the trouble to actually stand up and expose themselves to the rest of the world, all the criticism of the rest of the world, and they suddenly discover how unique they really are. That to me is total inspiration. And there's not just one of these, there's not 100, there's not 1,000, there's probably tens of thousands of these, because we've got billions of people on this planet. There is so much to be inspired about. So, you know, I have a problem. And that problem for me is, you know, just waking up is inspirational. And I think we just have to understand. And I'd love to, I posted yesterday on Facebook, if I may. I posted there's something that is happening in this 2020 COVID, which has exposed something new. And it's this concept of Zoom fatigue, crisis fatigue, anxiety fatigue, that you talk to people all over the place, the most inspirational people, the most motivated people, and they will all tell you, man, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling stuffed. I've got to go fishing. I haven't spoken to Trevor Carty. But, you know, people are starting to think about this thing here, my mental well-being. And I think we should focus on this and maybe start talking about, is this something that has just been 20x magnified in 2020, that people are feeling so fatigued? And these are some of the most inspirational and motivational people in the world that we're actually talking about. So if you go onto the Four Ways Chamber site, I picked up a number of links and I've been looking into why are people feeling so fatigued. Me, I just thought it was natural. You know, when I was a youngster, I'd go out into the surf for 3 to 5 hours at least. That was before I even went off to water polo training or whatever. But I'd come out of the surf and I'd flop down on the beach and I'd doss. And then I would be up and ready to go exercising. And I've always followed that throughout my life. Put in the effort. Maybe Ed would talk about it. This long distance running. He must get tired when he's running against all those other people. And is he competing against them? Is he looking at how tired they are? Does he not give a stuff about them? Does he just turn around and say, hey, when I'm tired, I know that those guys are more tired than me. If I just put one foot in front of the other, I will be in front of them. There's just so much to think about every day.
Right, sure. Okay, lots of inspiration. So yeah, just to wrap up from my perspective, I think most of it's been said already, but yeah, I love nature as well. Nature definitely inspires me. I think some of the really small things, if you look closely, are quite incredible and beautiful. You know, tiny little creatures with metallic colors and things like that. You know, you walk straight past and probably step on most of the time without even noticing that you've done it. You know, truly amazing little creations that we can find, and some big ones as well. You know, Ed spoke about the little seed in the cleft in a rock that grows into a great big fig tree or something like that. Those sort of things are amazing. When we were in the park a month or so ago, I saw a tree growing out of a dead tree. So it was quite amazing. I took a photograph of it. It's got this big dead tree, and then off one of the branches, there's a whole nother tree of a different species growing up in the middle of the air with its roots dangling down in the air, which is truly amazing. So yeah, amazing things inspire me. And I think you know, also ordinary people doing amazing things inspire me. You know, I think some of the physical achievements of people in, you know, ordinary people in unusual circumstances. Yeah, I think of Ed starting to run at the age of 40. I think that's amazing. You know, I mean, most people, you know, wouldn't think to start doing something like that if they've never done it before. You know, I've followed a little bit of a story about a guy by the name of Charles Euster. He was a dentist in Europe, retired at the age of 78, had TB twice, was extremely unfit, and decided he was going to get healthy because he wanted to have a good beach body. When he got onto the beach for all the young ladies he was chasing around the beach at the age of 78, and by the age of 88, he was getting world records in indoor rowing and doing amazing things like that. So, you know, it's never too late to start these things, Vinay. So get your walking shoes on, get moving, and you might find some inspiration out there in the open air. So yeah, thanks folks. We've really run over time today with all the inspiration. So Lee, quick wrap up and maybe some thoughts on tomorrow. I think you've already indicated what you might want to talk about, but let's just reinforce.
Well, I've got an idea.
I do apologize for the email. That was my fault, not Lee's fault, so don't blame Lee. I put the whole thing together last night and just forgot to press the last send button. It didn't go, so realized that it hadn't gone out. And Vinay, yeah, totally my fault getting the videos up. It's you're inspiring me to work harder. Sure, I don't know.
So is that inspiration or motivation, Ivan?
or frustration. I'm not sure. One of the Asians, some Asian somewhere. Yeah.
Well, thanks for taking one for the team. Edward, when we talked about creativity, spoke about these connections. So there are lots of connections that have been happening in my brain. This inspiration, sort of social comment, sense of humor, and creativity, and so and research. So those things kind of all have gelled for me to suggest that tomorrow we each choose a cartoon that speaks to us in some way. Maybe because it inspires us, maybe because it's making a social comment, maybe because it's speaking into our lives. One of my favorite cartoons is Peanuts. I think Peanuts is fabulous. So I will probably go and look up some Peanuts cartoons and share it with you, and just so that's what I'd like us to think about doing tomorrow. Look up a cartoon. What does it say to you? And let's have some fun with that.
Okay, on that note, that's all, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.